I spent years thinking I needed to be more impressive to deserve the room I was already in. Especially at work, I was around a lot of people who went to better schools and just grew up with money and had expensive hobbies and were equestrians on their time off and just had more access to the world than I did. My world was a little smaller because of circumstance, and instead of just treating that as a difference, I think I used that as proof that they were somehow better than me or smarter than me or just more qualified to be there than I was. So I edited myself. I paid attention to my accent. I didn't want my hood, coming out.
Bing bong.
My humor, my vocabulary, how loud I was. I was even afraid to ask questions because I just didn't want anyone to think that I was dumb. There were genuinely times I had no idea what people were talking about, and instead of asking, I just stayed quiet because I was scared. And apparently there's a name for this tension. Dr. Patricia Faison Hughlin has spent 20 years studying conformity and authenticity, and she just came out with a new book called Staying True to You. The book is basically about what happens when you try to belong somewhere without losing yourself in the process. She has this idea called the middle self, which is the space between staying exactly the same in every room and changing yourself depending on where you are or who you're around. Adapting isn't always bad. Sometimes you do need to read the room or communicate differently or carry yourself differently in certain places. Adapting is sometimes growth. But there is a point where adapting and changing and being like this chameleon starts to look like fear. For me, that looked like staying quiet because I was afraid of looking dumb, or changing my personality because I wanted people to like me, or making myself smaller because everybody around me just seemed more polished and more impressive. And that's why I'm looking into this book as someone who is trying to further their career. I want to better understand, am I changing because I'm growing, or am I changing because I'm afraid that the real me just won't be accepted? So if you've ever walked into a room and without even thinking about it started changing your personality or your opinions or how you sound or how much of yourself you're showing, you might want to look into this book too.